Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. We're going to be exploring the mall at Fox Run in Newington, New Hampshire. This mall is now closed, having had its final day on January 31st, 2026. We made a road trip from New Jersey to see this place and visit it before it's gone for good. The owner of this mall has plans to demolish the entire building and make way for a new development. Although this mall has faced some struggles in recent years, I don't think I would call this a dead mall. Like many malls that have closed in the past few years, this mall was preemptively killed to make way for a new development, and at the end of 2025, the leases on all the Inline tenants were not renewed, forcing the small businesses to find new locations. I'm going to get into a little history on this mall, and then we'll explore some of the ins and outs of this place. The mall was developed by JLL and first opened its doors in 1983. A single-floor mall, it was anchored by Sears, JCPenney, Jordan Marsh, and Filene's. The mall became a major competitor to the nearby Newington Mall, which was much smaller and older. While Fox Run thrived throughout the 80s and 90s, the Newington Mall would eventually close in the mid-90s. Just goes to show that dead malls are not a new phenomenon by any means. In 1994, Jordan Marsh merged with Macy's, and the Fox Run location was converted to a Macy's store. In 2006, the merger of Federated Department Stores and the May Company led to the Filene's being converted into a Macy's men's store, giving this mall two Macy's anchor locations, one for men's and one for women's. We'll see both of those later on in the video. In 2011, the mall was purchased by Simon Properties, who maintained ownership until 2017. In 2018, the Sears closed, and the building has sat vacant ever since. From 2018 to 2023, the mall was managed by Spinoso Realty Group, and in 2023 the mall was purchased by Torrington. The JCPenney's closed its doors in May of 2025, leaving this mall with just the two Macy's as anchors. Torrington announced in 2025 that they intend to raze the entire building to redevelop the property into space for two big box retailers. So that brings us where we are today, with Fox Run being emptied out while it awaits the wrecking ball. And with that, let's begin our tour of the Fox Run Mall. Up ahead of us is the former JCPenney space, and this was one of the original anchors when the mall opened up in 1983. And we can see that it just has a very beautiful old school look to it. I really like that smoky glass storefront. It's just a very beautiful old school look. You definitely won't see anything like that on any modern store nowadays. And it makes me kind of sad to think that this is going to be destroyed in just a matter of weeks. But I guess that's how things go. I'm very surprised that JCPenney is still holding on as a brand. They filed for bankruptcy a few years back, and they managed to pull out of it, but I'm not sure what the future's going to hold for JCPenney. And here we can see inside the closed store, a very creepy liminal backroom space, or whatever they call it. And this was a recent closure. This one only closed up in early 2025. And now this store caught my eye. This is a former Suncoast Motion Picture Company store. This was one of my favorite mall stores when I was a kid. It sold VHS tapes, and you could come in there and get all kinds of weird stuff that you couldn't find anywhere else. They used to have the store logo down in the tiles, but I don't think that's there anymore. And if we look inside, we can see that old-style grid ceiling. That was one thing I always remembered about this store. It just had an amazing vibe. It had red neon lights everywhere, and they would always have like cool movies playing on TV screens all throughout the store. Overall, this mall has a modern vibe to it, but it's not without its character. We can see that great tile work down on the floor there, and the skylights up above us. I couldn't find out when this mall was most recently renovated, but I would say probably sometime in the late 90s, early 2000s. I believe this space was a former Foot Locker. Let's get a look inside. Yeah, it definitely looks like a Foot Locker or some other sneaker store. Those racks on the sides of the walls were used for holding up sneakers for sure. And again, we can see this lovely tile on the floor here in sort of these compass rose patterns. I really like this. It's a nice touch. It's modern, but it still has aesthetic appeal to it. Most malls don't even bother with that much nowadays. They just have those plain white tiles, and that's it. And they do still have live plants in this mall. It always makes me happy to see a mall with nice looking live plants. And so we were here on a weekday morning, so I'm unsure if stores like this one were still open and operating, or if they were just closed up and awaiting time to move out all their old stock before the mall closes permanently. And here we have the old Hollister porch, and I believe they're phasing all of these out because they're not wheelchair accessible. But this caught my eye. This space was being used by an oddities and curiosities exhibit. Unfortunately, it wasn't open, but I would have loved to have seen what kind of stuff they have in there. I will have to find out where they're relocating to, and maybe we'll come back and make a visit when they reopen. Let's see if we can see anything in here. I can't really make out what's back there, but it's probably some really cool stuff. This is the old H&M, and there was actually a crew of people working inside to clear the space out when we were on our visit. And this is a single floor mall, and it's basically just one long hallway with different court areas like this one here throughout it. Here we have the old Sprint store, and that's been completely emptied out. And the Claire's is gone. Where are we going to go to get our ears pierced now? And this spot used to be a candy store called Sweet Josie's. It used to have a really cool neon sign hanging up above it, but they've removed it. We were really hoping we would get to see this place, but we were too late. And the air coming from inside this space smelled just like chocolate. It smelled really good. I hope they do well at their new location. And over here we have a Hot Topic, which was in the process of closing. And it's one of the ones with the old style girder arch. Let's shed a bloody tear for Hot Topic. And this space used to be a vape store, and there were some interesting looking items in there. I think that's some sort of gas mask with a smoking device attached to it. And one feature about this mall that really stood out to me are these elevated seating areas that they have throughout the mall. Very cool how they have these little ramps and stairways going up to it, and these decorative railings all around it. And up in front of us is the former Sears area, and this little nautical-themed kids' play place. We have a happy shark greeting us to the play area, and some fun, friendly sea creatures hanging out here. I wonder if they plan to move this out, or if they're just going to demolish it with the rest of the mall. Not really sure. And now this space was formerly an FYE, you can see by the front of the store, but it had later been turned into a New Life church. I always say that when things like churches start opening up in former mall spaces, it's not a good sign for the mall. The idea of going to a church service inside a mall just seems like such a strange thing to me. But FYE is another store that's really been struggling. They've been closing up locations in malls all across the country, and I don't know what the future holds for them. If you've been to one of their stores recently, it's mostly just Funko Pops and things like that. But I'm hoping with physical media returning in popularity that maybe some independent record stores and media stores will start opening up in malls. Fingers crossed, hopefully we'll see that. And I think up here we can see some old neon light tubes. And over here we have the empty Sears space. Wouldn't be a dead mall without an empty, vacant Sears attached to it. And let's take a look inside. Definitely some old backrooms vibes in here. Now, I miss Sears, and I used to enjoy going to Sears stores, especially towards the end of their runs, because it just gave me the feeling of going back in time, being a kid back in the 90s again. There's not many places you can go and get that feeling anymore, and it kind of makes me sad. I believe this space used to be an Olympia Sports. Check out that cool checkered tile. We can take a look inside, and it definitely looks like an old sports store. Very cool vibe in here. We were trying to figure out what store these light fixtures were originally from. I looked in an old directory, and at one point this space was a Lecter's Housewares, but I'm not sure if that's where these originally came from. So if you happen to know, let us know down in the comments. Here we have a Francesca's, and this is a chain that is closing all their stores nationwide. They have all these cotton balls down here in the planter, I guess to look like snow. I'm not really sure, but it was kind of gross looking. And this was a former coffee shop. Unfortunately, we could not get a piping hot caffeinated beverage at this mall. And this space here is an old Zoomies skateboard shop. And we can look inside there and see the front desk all covered up in stickers. Now, how do you think those stickers get up there? Do you think the store employees do that on their own, or does corporate make them do it? Kind of a creepy scene here with that single folding chair. Continuing onward, I really like this section with the ramps and the little staircases. Kind of has an old school vibe to it. And let's once again stop to appreciate the tile work here. This looks like it was from the late 90s, early 2000s. Earth tone colors were very popular in decor style back then, so I would say it's probably from that time period. This looks like it may have been a cell phone service store, probably a Verizon or something. Do you see those cobwebs on the grate there? This must have been closed for a little while now. And over here we have a Hanush Jewelers. Let's take a look inside there. The lights are on, but no one's home. Kind of cool how you can see the layout of where the display cases used to be on the floor. And this is called Battle Zone. It was actually a Nerf gun arena, which is pretty cool if you ask me. And this is a former Rue 21. Let's take a look inside there. Welcome to the Battle Zone. How come they didn't have Nerf gun arenas when I was a kid? I would have loved that. And we have this little tiny arcade here. Let's go take a look, see what they have. Dirty Driving. I don't think I've seen that one before. And just a cruisin' blast over here. I gotta say, this is kind of a sad looking arcade if you ask me. And we have one of these dinosaur bone claw games, and we tried playing one of these, and I gotta say, it's very hard to play. It's a rigged game, so don't even try. I'm not really sure what this store used to be. I'm guessing this was behind where the counter was whenever this was open. We have this gumball machine here, and I gotta say, it's pretty grimy looking. I don't think I would want to get a gumball from there. We have another one of these cool elevated seating areas, and the entrance to the Macy's men's store, and we're going to go inside there in just a second. But let's just take a moment to appreciate this really cool curved ramp they have here. It's a shame that this place is going to be demolished, because things like this are just a cool, unique feature that you really don't see too much at other malls. Fox Run is far from the most retro mall that I've ever seen, but it definitely has a nice character to it. As I mentioned earlier in the video, because of company mergers that took place in the 90s, this mall actually has Macy's split between two anchor spaces, one for men's, home, and children's, and another one for women's. And now this one is formerly a Filene's department store. I don't know too much about Filene's. I know they were a New England-based department store chain. They had several locations throughout malls in New England, but I believe they were all converted into Macy's eventually. And take a look at those empty jewelry cases. This store has some cool old school features to it, like that angular accent on the ceiling and those smoky glass mirrored columns. And it looks like they're moving out the last of their stock to get ready for closure. And while the mall has since closed at the end of January, I believe the Macy's anchor spaces are staying open until April. Look at this goober over here. They should kick him out of the mall. And I saw this back area where the credit service phone used to be, and I was very interested to see if I could find it. It looks like they're using this place to store some old shelving units. And over here must have been where the phone used to be. This was a thing back in the 90s. I really like the wood grain on this entryway here. It's a very old school touch, and it just reminds me of the 80s when everything had wood grain all over it. Back here in the mattress showroom has kind of a liminal vibe to it, kind of eerie. Look at this old monitor. I wonder when the last time they actually used that was. Continuing on, over here is the children's clothing section, and this caught my eye over here. At first I noticed these old stars on the wall here, but then I saw just how much water damage is coming through those ceiling tiles. Yikes, those are in pretty bad shape, and probably a mold risk. But these stars here looked pretty cool. I remember seeing those at Macy's back in the 90s when I was a kid. Alrighty, continuing on our mall adventure. And let's just take another moment to appreciate how cool this elevated seating area is. Another reason why I'm sad to see malls on the decline is that people need places like this to come and just sit and chill and hang out. Malls have always served as the third space, and those are disappearing. When a mall has been open for several decades, it really becomes something more than just a shopping center. It really belongs to the people, and to see these real estate developers just so casually toss them away and destroy them, I think it's a real shame, and it's a real disservice to the community around them. But let me not go off on another rant. Let's continue with our mall exploring. Over here is a former Journeys shoe store. And these are always really interesting looking, especially when they're empty. I don't know about you, but I think that's kind of cool looking. And this is something I have never seen before. This is a live game show studio. So I guess this is something where you and your friends can come and participate in a game show, which sounds like a lot of fun. And if they ever open up one like this near me, I definitely want to come and do that. And this is some sort of silent disco party. Again, something I just haven't seen before in a mall, but it looks pretty interesting. Just look at that dance floor and all those colored lights. Let's see what's down at the end of this eerie hallway, shall we? Okay, so it looks like it's the restrooms and an exit. And so something I want to mention about this mall is that this is a dog-friendly mall. While we were here, we saw at least a dozen people walking their dogs through the mall. It seems like this mall has become an indoor dog park, a place for people to get exercise for their dogs in these cold winter months. And it's another reason why it's such a shame that this mall is being demolished, because they're taking that away from the community. And this is why I say that malls are more than just a place to shop, they're something that belongs to the community. But these developers, they just have to try and squeeze as much money out of the property as possible. They just can't let people have something nice. But here I go ranting again. I'm sorry. Continuing on towards the other Macy's location at the end of the mall, it looks like most of these spaces have been cleared out a while ago. And over in this space, it looks like an e-bike company was using it to store some of their bikes. We can look in the back there and see them all. And here's something really interesting that I don't think I've ever seen in a mall before. So several of these storefronts were being used for storage for classic cars and other vehicles. Check out that VW bus, and you'll notice on the top you can see Wilson from the movie Castaway. So from what I understand, this is a service for people to have their classic cars put into climate-controlled storage, and that's what they're using this mall space for. I guess that's one way to reuse an empty mall store. So I don't know a lot about classic cars, so if I get something wrong, please don't kill me in the comments, but let's take a look at some of the ones they have here. This is an old Cadillac, and it is quite a luxurious car. We can walk around here and just see some of the details on the interior. And right behind it, we have another classic Cadillac in a really cool seafoam green color. And they were actually using several store spaces here for car storage. Just a very cool thing to see at an old mall like this one. But I imagine that the owners of this business will have to find new places to keep all these cars with them all being demolished in the near future. Over here we have this old Buick, and we can take a look in the back here. There has to be at least a dozen cars in this space. Makes me wonder about the logistics of moving all these cars in and out of an active mall like this. And let's take a look at the Macy's women's store, and this is a former Jordan Marsh department store. And much like Filene's, Jordan Marsh was another New England-based department store chain that merged with Macy's in the 90s and was discontinued. And just look at that beautiful entranceway with all that vintage stonework around it. And this is actually a really interesting looking Macy's. Right in the center here, we have this very grand looking skylight. How beautiful is this with all that natural light coming in through that? And it's a shame that this is going to be demolished along with the rest of the mall. I'm going to step out into the entryway here because they have these really beautiful glass atriums. There are two of these attached to this building, and it's another one of these old school, beautiful mall features. Stuff that you just don't see on any modern building anymore. Imagine being a little kid back in the 80s and walking through this entranceway. How amazing would that feel? And this painting caught my eye. Just look at this fun, surrealistic picture here. I believe this is what they call factory pomo style. I'm not certain about that, but I think that's what this is. And I just love stuff like this. It's neat. And here we have another one over here. It just reminds me of the artwork you would see on kids' educational toys in the 90s when I was growing up. And here's a really creepy mannequin with no eyeballs. And so that was the Fox Run Mall from one end to the other. There's one more thing to see before we leave here today, but we're going to make our way back to the entranceway where we came in. Overall, I think this was a really great mall, and I think it's a shame that it's going to be demolished. They could have done so much with this place, but instead, they're choosing to get rid of it and replace it with something boring and bland, probably a Walmart or a Home Depot. And although I'm not local to the area, I feel like this is a big loss for this community. Just from walking around and seeing people walking their dogs and hanging out and socializing, seems like this place was serving as a community hub, and it's an absolute shame that it's going to be gone. Although there's vacancy issues, this mall is absolutely clean, pristine. They could have done so much with this place instead of just demolishing it. It's a great waste, and I think it's absolutely shameful. But we can't leave the mall without first stopping in the food court. Over here was a place called Build a Cookie, where I suppose they would bake a customized cookie for you. Sounds like a lot of fun to me. Over here is a Jamaican food place called One Love Cuisine, and the smell from this place was absolutely amazing. We didn't have time to stop and eat there, but I hope wherever they relocate to, that their business does well. I'm not sure what this place was. I'm guessing it may have been like a Chinese or a Mexican place. And over here we have a Roman Delight pizza with an absolutely beautiful neon sign above it and some really bright colored tiles on the backsplash behind it. Definitely reminds me of an old school mall food court. And I couldn't leave without getting my picture taken in this big chair. Anyway, thank you for joining me on this trip to Fox Run Mall, my first visit to the mall and my last visit. Very sad that we're losing another mall, but I guess that's just how things go. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe to see me on more adventures in the future. If you'd like to support the channel, check out my Patreon page for some exclusive videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.